Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, Ron. I'll give you a minute to get your file. You can state your name for the record, please, sir.
Good morning. My name Shiping Bao. S-H-I-P-I-N-G-B-A-O.
What is your occupation, sir?
I'm the Associate Medical Examiner in Volusia and Seminole counties.
And if you could just briefly tell us about your specialty, what area of practice you have, and your education background
Okay.
and training.
I received my medical degree in China, came to United States in 1992 when I was 29 years old to pursue American dream. I did my pathology training in Birmingham, Alabama, and finished my forensic pathology fellowship in Fort Worth, Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office. After that, I was Deputy Medical Examiner in Tarrant County, Texas for 2 years before I came to Florida. I am certified by American Board of Pathology in anatomic, clinical, and forensic pathology. I have medical licenses in the states of Florida and Texas. I am the fellow member of the National Association of Medical Examiners.
Okay. Dr. Bao, if we could, please explain to the jury when we talk about forensic pathology what that means.
As a medical examiner in forensic pathology, I review medical records and reports from our investigators and police department, and do autopsies to determine the cause and the manner of death. Also, I serve as the fact witness and expert witness in the court, such as today.
Okay. And how long have you been with your current position at the medical examiner's office in, I guess, it's the 7th Circuit? Is it Volusia and Seminole counties?
Yes. Our office covers both Volusia County and Seminole counties.
Okay. Can you briefly explain to the jury what an autopsy is?
Autopsy means to see for self. It is the postmortem examination of human body to determine the cause and the manner of death.
Okay.
The cause of death is either an injury or disease. Injuries such as gunshot wound to the head, stab wound to the chest, or blunt force trauma due to motor vehicle accident. Disease such as heart disease, cancer, or stroke. The manner of death is classified into five categories. Homicide. One person killed by another, such as in this case, Trayvon Martin was killed by another person. Suicide. One killed him or herself. Accident, such as motor vehicle accident, drowning. Natural, such as heart disease or stroke. If we do not have enough evidence to determine the manner of death, we call undetermined. Autopsy includes the identification of human body, external and internal examinations to record the disease, injury, and other evidence, plus toxicology test.
Dr. Bao, if we could, approximately how many autopsies have you performed in your career, sir?
So far, I have done more than 3,000 autopsies, in which about 150 to 200 homicides.
Okay.
I did about 20 court testimonies or depositions. In the last 5 years, I have done about 300 to 700 cases a year.
And you, as you stated, you previously testified in Florida as an expert, is that correct?
Yes,
This
both
time I tendered the
Texas
witness.
and Florida.
This time I tendered the witness as an expert in forensic pathology.
And they so testify.
I don't have any voir dire.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Ballard, we can move into what you did in this particular case, that you perform an autopsy on a person later identified to you as Trayvon Martin under your medical examiner number 12-24-043.
Yes.
And where was the autopsy performed, Dr. Ballard?
Where or
Yes,
when?
sir.
Yeah, we did autopsy on February 27th, 2012. I started autopsy at 10:30 p.m. After autopsy, I typed autopsy report, start from 4:06 p.m. I finished my autopsy report at 5:10 p.m. same day.
And was that done at the medical examiner's office in Volusia County?
Yes, in Daytona Beach.
Did you determine the cause of death, sir?
Yes.
And what was the cause of death?
The cause of death is gunshot wound of chest.
And what was the manner of death, sir?
The manner of death is homicide, meaning he was killed by another person.
If you could, tell us what Trayvon Martin's height and weight was, sir. What was his height?
I would like to present the jury how I did autopsy from the
Okay, yeah,
morning.
please.
Trayvon Martin came to my office as unidentified human body. He was not identified at the time. All we know, he was a black boy. He was shot. He's dead. There is no name, no age. The first in the morning, we did X-ray, tried to locate the bullets or fragments of bullet. We found out he had some fragments at the lower chest. His body was sealed in a plastic bag with number 0000517. After we look at a hole on the anterior sweatshirt with blood. Under the sweatshirt, there was another T-shirt. Again, there was blood, the defect, and a soot, S-O-O-T, soot. After we removed the clothes, we saw a defect on his left lower chest, 3/8 inch diameter, round, with soot, S-O-O-T, with ring abrasion around wound with stippling, also called powder tattooing. After we removed the skin, there was defect between left anterior number 5 and number 6 ribs. So the bullet went through directly from anterior to posterior through anterior pericardial sac, which is the fiber tissue around the heart, through right ventricle of the heart, anterior right ventricle of the heart, through posterior right ventricle of the heart, through posterior pericardial sac. At that point, the bullet separated. The lead core of the bullet was recovered in the pericardial sac behind right ventricle. The two fragments of the jacket went right through his right lower lobe of the lung. We have 3 lobes on the right, 2 lobes on the right. The bullet went through the right lower lobe of the lung. The 2 fragments was recovered in the right pleural cavity. At that point, Trayvon Martin, I believe, was still alive. His heart was still beating. Every time his heart was beating, some of the blood will go from right ventricle to the pulmonary artery to the lung and supply his brain. I believe, it is my opinion, that he was still alive, he was still in pain, he was still in suffering.
Objection, Your Honor. That's not a relevant issue at this time.
It's
It's
relevant.
simply the emotional
Okay, just a
appeal.
second, I'm sorry, your objection is relevance? Okay,
Inspector.
overruled.
He's in suffering, he's in pain.
Well, then I would object to speculation then.
No, it's
And
my
it's
opinion,
not-
not a
Wait, wait.
speculation.
And
When
it's
there's
not,
an objection, I have to rule on it. Okay, so please, just wait. If counsel, please approach.
sure.
So if you'll just wait a moment. Okay, the objection is sustained. You may proceed.
Dr. Bell, I'm going to ask you questions and just answer my questions if you could, okay?
Okay.
Let's go back to, you mentioned the autopsy. You determined Trayvon Martin's height and weight. Did you say he was 5'11" and 158 pounds? Is that correct?
Yes, in my autopsy report is 71 inches, which is 5 feet and 11 inches.
Okay. And when you say he's 5'11" or 71 inches, is there actually a measurement? Is the body put on a table and there's
Yeah.
actually something that measures it?
It's the length. We measure the body in length because the dead man cannot stand. It's
Okay.
not height.
Okay, so in other words, a body after the person dies does not grow or anything, or does not shrink, it just stays the same?
Yes,
Okay. Now, did you determine his age as being 17 years old, sir?
one day after the autopsy, he was identified by his father. At that point, February 28th, 2012.
And so
He
he was
was
17
identified.
years old?
Yes,
Okay. And was his date of birth that you determined was February the 5th of 1995?
yes, February 5th, 1995.
Okay. Dr. Bao, I'm going to show you some photographs, and before I get to this, you briefly mentioned, does your office have a medical examiner investigator go out to the actual scene where the shooting is?
Yes,
Okay, and did one go in this case?
yes,
Okay. And does the investigator make sure that the body is sealed in a bag that we're going to show photographs of?
yes,
Okay. And when you perform the autopsy, do you have assistants helping you? Specifically,
Yes.
in this case, 2 assistants?
I have 2 assistants.
Okay. And in terms of the autopsy that you're going to talk about, the assistants work under your supervision and they're all in the same area as you?
Yes,
Okay. And are photographs taken to document the relevant evidence that you will be talking to the jury about?
yes,
Okay. All right, let's go, if we could, Dr. Bao, I'm going to show you State Exhibit 81. Do you recognize that photograph, sir?
yes.
And what is that a photograph of, sir?
Can I have something to point to?
Oh, I apologize,
jury?
we need a pointer. Thank you, Mr. Guy. It's a little button right here. May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Right here.
This is a photo.
I'm
Of-
sorry to interrupt. May I have the physical exhibit so that I can follow along with what's coming? Are these all in evidence already?
I apologize.
Are all
The
these-
photos, are
Yeah,
they?
they're in evidence.
Yes, and so that there may
They're,
be,
they're right there if you would like to look through them or keep them at your desk as long as the clerk gets them back.
as the court's aware, we tried to expedite things by,
I don't need to
Pre-marking.
speak, if you need those, you can just look through and take them back to the,
Should be 81 through 108.
okay? You're welcome.
You need more time, Mr. Rose? State's Exhibit 181, I'm sorry, 81, I apologize. Do you recognize that? And tell us what that photograph depicts.
Okay, this is a photo of plastic bag carried Trayvon Martin.
Okay. And would this
The
be
H
the
means
head part up over
the
here?
head. 12 means 2012, year of 2012. 24 means Seminole County. 043 means this is 43 cases from the year.
Okay,
150 pound.
all right. Let me show you State's Exhibit 82. What is this part of the, what does this photograph show?
Okay, this one shows black male, case number, unidentified, number 3. This is again the case number. This is F, feet.
Okay. And then State's Exhibit 83, is that a,
This is another view of this body bag,
okay?
feet, and the case number.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 84, what does that photograph show, sir?
This is SEAL, VCME, Volusia County Medical Examiner. SEAL number 0000517. This is case number. Nobody can open the bag before me look at it.
Okay. So in other words, when the bag comes, let me go back a second to 80. 81, 82, 83, 84. The bag itself is sealed where the body is, Trayvon bodies is sealed in that container. It comes to your office, and you all actually cut that or open that up. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let me show you State Exhibit 99. You previously talked about an X-ray. Tell us, when you said X-ray, is that X-ray taken before the body is removed from the bag?
No, before the body was removed from the bag, we took the X-ray, tried to locate the bullet or fragments. This is one of them. This is spine, means right. There is the fragment in the area of the heart.
Okay.
There are two fragments in the area of the right lung. This is another view of X-ray spine. It's the stomach, the colon, arm is right. Again, you can see this lead core in the area of the heart, and two more fragments of jacket in the area of the lung.
When the body comes to you, Dr. Bao, is this the photograph showing how the body is exactly in terms of clothing that Trayvon Martin was wearing, State's Exhibit 85?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the first photo we took, case number, the defect on the sweatshirt with some debris, and this is blue plastic bag.
Okay. And when you keep referring to defect, you're talking about what ends up killing him in terms of the gunshot wound. This is showing of the shirt, the hole.
Yeah, defect, the street name means the hole.
Okay. State's Exhibit 86. What does that photograph show, Dr. Bao?
This is another view of his body, the defect here, case number, his hand, and two legs.
So at this point, you're trying to photograph, just showing the legs or part of the leg, is that correct?
Yeah, normally we use 3 photos to cover the whole body.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 87, does that show well, tell us what it shows, sorry.
Okay, this is another view of Trayvon Martin, case number, and his shoes and the pants.
State's Exhibit 101, and I guess I apologize, after the body comes in, are the clothing then removed and you observe that and then you go to the body itself?
Yes.
Okay. State's Exhibit 101, what does that photograph show?
This is sweatshirt, the hoodie sweatshirt. The orange marker point to the defect on the left chest. Again, case number.
Okay. State's Exhibit 102, is that a close-up of what you refer to as a defect or the hole that caused the gunshot wound?
Yes, caused by gunshot wound.
Okay. State's Exhibit 103, what does that photograph show?
This is the back view of hoodie sweatshirt. Appears to be wet.
State's Exhibit 104, what does that photograph show, Dr. Bao?
This is another sweatshirt under the hoodie sweatshirt. You can see this, the blood, the defect, the marker.
Okay.
This, the black, appears to be soot, S-O-O-T, soot.
Okay.
Again, we have case number.
All right. And Dr. Bao, just to make sure that the jury understands, State's Exhibit, I'm going back to State's Exhibit 85, was that sweatshirt that we just talked about underneath this hoodie or hoodie
Yes.
sweatshirt?
Yes.
And State's Exhibit 104, is that the front part of that sweatshirt?
Yes.
Okay. State's Exhibit 105, what does that photograph show, sir?
This just the close-up of previous one. Again, this we can see better. The defect, the blood, and the soot, which is burned powder from the gun.
State's Exhibit 106, what does that photograph show, Dr. Bao?
This is the back view of shirt. There is no defect, which means there is no exit wound.
State's Exhibit 107, what does that photograph show?
This is the pants. Appears to be wet and some debris.
Okay. And is that the front part of the
Yeah,
pants?
front view.
Okay. State's Exhibit 108, what does that show?
It's the back view of the pants.
State's Exhibit 88, what does that photograph show, Dr. Bao?
This is Trayvon Martin, 17 years old.
Okay.
Y-
And
this-
is that a photograph just showing the upper part of his body?
Yeah, normally we have 3 photos. This photo show from the head to the abdomen.
Okay.
There is
And
a
obviously,
defect.
this right here is just for the photography purposes, been blacked out, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
there is a defect, left lower chest. Other than that, Trayvon Martin was healthy. There is no disease, no injury. Other injury, other than gunshot wound.
Okay. And you stated, I believe, he weighed 158 pounds, is that correct?
Yes, we weigh by ourselves.
Okay. Stage Exhibit 89, what does that photograph
This
show?
is another view of Trayvon Martin from the chest to the knee.
Okay.
Again, we can show the defect. Other than this defect, there is no disease, there is no injury.
Okay. While we have this photograph here, Dr. Bao, I'm going to circle the hands. Did you make observations as to the hands, sir?
Yes,
Okay. Did you observe any blood? And we're going to talk about an injury that you're going to talk about in the left hand. But other than that, did you observe any blood on the hands?
yeah, other than some small aberrations on left fifth finger and the left fourth finger, there is no other injury, no other disease.
Okay. And did you observe any blood on the hands at all?
No.
Stage Exhibit 90, what does that photograph
This
show?
is a view of Trayvon Martin from the thigh to the feet. Again, there is no disease, no injury.
Dr. Bao, Stage Exhibit 91, what does that photograph show?
This is the back view of Trayvon Martin from the head to this area. There is no disease, there is no injury.
Stage Exhibit 92, what does that photograph show, Dr. Bao?
This is another view of Trayvon Martin's back. There is no disease, there is no injury.
Okay. And Stage Exhibit 93, what does that photograph show, Dr. Bao?
This is the third view of Trayvon Martin's back from the thigh to the feet. Again, there is no disease, there is no injury.
Dr. Bao, I'm now showing you Stage Exhibit 94. What does that photograph show, sir?
This photograph shows the defect on the left lower round defect. We can use the close-up one.
Yes, sir. I'm coming to that one yet. But before I get into that, you have a measuring thing just to show where the injury is so that people can see it, and also
Yeah.
the measurement itself.
This one has both the scale and the case number.
Okay. Let me show you Stage Exhibit 95. Tell us what Stage Exhibit 95, what that photograph shows, Dr. Bao.
This photograph shows the defect with ring aberration around the defect, which consistent with entrance wound. Also, we can see the soot, S-O-O-T, and a 2 by 2 inch area of stippling, also called powder tattooing, which is punctuating aberrations caused by unburned powder from the gun.
And Dr. Bao, how can you positively say that what I'm circling right here is the entrance wound, the gunshot wound? How can you say that that's the entrance wound?
Because the entrance wound is different from exit wound. Exit wound normally elongated, and normally there is no soot, no stippling. This case is one of the easiest case in my office. There is no exit wound, has to be entrance wound.
So, in other words, you find the fragments or the bullet inside his body, and there's no exit.
Yeah, I have 100% confidence. I look at this wound, I can make judgment. This is entrance wound of intermediate range in first 3 seconds.
Intermediate range
In first 3 seconds when I look at this wound with 100% confidence.
And Dr. Bao, I believe that's even a closer up of that gunshot wound. State's Exhibit 96. Tell us if you can. You got the green marker. Go ahead and tell us.
This is the fat, adipose fat tissue under the skin. Again, this is entrance wound with stippling and soot, consistent with entrance wound.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you in a few minutes about the suit, but is this what you're talking about when you say soot or stippling?
The black one, okay. The black one, these are soot.
Okay.
These punctuating aberrations are stippling.
And is that from the shooting of the gun in terms of
Yes.
the bullet? Okay.
Yes.
State's Exhibit number 97, what does that photograph show?
This is superficial aberration caused by blunt force trauma, 1/4 by 1/8 inch aberration on left fourth finger.
And did you also find something on the pinky
Yeah, there are
finger or
two
the fifth?
very small. I even cannot use ruler to measure them. Two of them much less than 1/16 inch. Two small aberrations on left fifth finger.
Other than the gunshot wound that you've talked about, which I'm going back for the record, State's Exhibit number 96, and State's Exhibit number 97, the injuries that you described to the left, I believe, is this the left hand, by the way?
Yes, left hand.
Okay. Did you find any other injury in any other part of his body? In other words, did you find any injuries to his right hand at all?
No.
And I'm going to, State's Exhibit 100, is this what you ended up recovering from the body, sir?
This is lead core from bullet. I recovered this one in the pericardial sac behind right ventricle of the heart.
Okay.
These two are fragments of jacket was recovered in the right pleural cavity behind right lower lobe of the lung.
Okay. Let me go back to State's Exhibit number 96 or 95 for context. Tell us if you could, Dr. Bao, when that bullet entered the chest of Trayvon Martin, what happened? How did he die?
Okay.
If you could, just tell the jury.
The bullet went straight, directly from the front to the back with perforations of anterior wall of the space between fifth and sixth ribs. The bullet went through the pericardial sac, went through right ventricle of the heart, went through the posterior wall of right ventricle of the heart. We recovered 1,700 milliliters of blood in the right pleural cavity, 1,000 milliliters of blood in the left pleural cavity. I believe he was alive for 1 to 10 minutes after he was shot. His heart was beating until there was no blood left. At the point, his heart stopped and he's completely silent.
Okay. And so, this would be an obvious question. This was a fatal shot, is that correct?
There is 2 holes on the right ventricle of the heart. There's no chance he can survive. No chance, 0.
Okay. And if you could, in terms of the track of the bullet, does it come straight, or is it at an angle either going up or down on the body? And I know you'd have to look at the body anatomically correct, but
in my opinion, it's straight from the front to the back.
so it's a straight shot right into the heart, basically.
Yes.
You mentioned already, and I want you to, if you could, explain to the jury, when you say stippling and soot, what you mean. And I've progressed to State's Exhibit number 96, going back to that. If you could, explain it, if you could, what we mean by stippling and soot, what we mean by that.
The meaning of soot and stippling, so we can make a diagnosis of intermediate range. In my autopsy report, I give 3 ranges of shooting: contact, intermediate, and indeterminate.
Okay. Let's talk about contact. Would be what? Literally, when you say contact, the muzzle of the gun is right on the skin itself?
Contact is complete. Contact entrance wound is complete from this one. In my office,
Yes, is what.
contact entrance wound is complete different from this.
Okay, so this is
Intermediate
not a
range.
contact wound to the
Yes.
skin itself.
Yeah, I look at contact entrance wound almost every day in my office. If it's contact, there will be skin laceration. If there is cloth, will be imprint of the fiber of the cloth. In this case, I have 100% confidence this is intermediate range of shooting.
Okay, and when you say intermediate range, what is that range? Are you able to determine or give your opinion as to what the range could be?
By definition,
Yes, sir.
intermediate range is when you see the stippling. So if you see the stippling, it's intermediate range. If it's intermediate range, you need to see the stippling.
Okay. And in terms of the range, what would be the range that you would opine is consistent with this, sir?
I look at many books. I try to find out what's the range for intermediate range.
And is that 0.4?
First, I need to explain to the jury.
Yeah, please explain to the jury.
The range of shooting is my opinion, not the fact. The fact is there is defect on the chest, there is a soot, there is stippling. Use this fact, I have my opinion. The fact is different from opinion. For the fact, there is no right or wrong, just truth or false.
I object to the witness's characterization of facts versus opinion.
Yeah,
I'll be glad to let me ask you a question specifically. I'll be glad to
the fact opinion is very important
Okay.
in the justice system.
Hold on, Dr. Bowell.
You have to go ahead and let Mr. De La Rionda ask the question, sir.
Okay. Let me just ask you a question.
Yes.
There are different ranges in terms of, you mentioned contact, and then there's intermediate, and is that range from 0.4 inches to up to 4 feet?
Yes.
Okay,
I
and
look
then
at
there's
many
even longer
books.
than that.
The closest in the book
Okay,
is
and I'm going to ask you about the clothes in a minute.
the range is not the fact,
I object.
it's opinion.
Not responsive.
Mr. Bow, you're going to have to wait for Mr. De La Rionda to ask you a question and then provide the answer. Thank you. Go ahead.
Dr. Bow, and we're going to get into, but assuming there was no clothes,
Mm-hmm.
then you have the intermediate range, which is 0.4 inches to up to 4 feet. Is that correct?
Yes, I did not measure them.
Okay. All right.
All I have is from the book.
Yes, sir.
It's my opinion.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to get into your opinion, explaining to the jury.
Yeah,
but
yeah, very important.
Yes, sir. Did you determine that since he was wearing clothes, this would be called an what's the word? that you-
Intermediate or
Intermediate.
intermediary target. Okay, there are two different terms.
Tell us about those if you could.
Okay. Intermediary target, INTERMEDIARY. Intermediary target means the object between the bullet and the target, including the clothing, materials in the pocket. In other case, could be car windows, could be arms. When you have intermediary target, it is more difficult to determine the range of shooting.
So in this case, you had you had clothing,
Yes,
you had 2 sweatshirts that were acting as that, correct?
yes,
Okay. And does that help you account why you're saying in terms of the range that served as an in-between the bullet, or the muzzle of the gun and the skin, is that correct?
no,
The clothing,
no, it's different.
tell me what the effect the clothing had.
The clothing will block some soot and some material from the gunshot. I want to explain to you how I did this autopsy, how I determine the range.
Yes, sir. Please
The-
explain to the jury.
The
how you got
intermediate
the-
range, when I say intermediate range, is by definition, it's not by measurement. There is no fact, just opinion.
Sure. So you're just going on what is classified as intermediate, what that means.
Yeah, by definition of intermediate range.
You're not actually there measuring or anything like that.
Nobody can use the eye to determine the range.
Okay.
There is no such thing.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the clothing as serving as some barrier between the muzzle of the gun and the body itself. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, based on your examination of the clothing and then also the body, do you believe there was some contact with the clothing by the muzzle of the gun?
I believe there is loose contact. Loose, L-O-O-S-E.
Okay.
Because-
Tell us about that.
Yeah, the contact including loose contact and hard contact, H-A-R-D. If it was hard contact, I would see the imprint of fiber of the clothes over here. So I did not see that. So I believe this is loose contact to the clothes, which cause the stippling pattern on the skin.
And can you determine how loose it was other than it was just loose? Can you say how loose it was?
I don't know, just
Okay.
loose contact.
Okay. Now, how about the fact that you had 2 sweatshirts? What's been referred to as the hoodie and then underneath another sweatshirt. Does that add an additional barrier, I guess, in terms of loose?
I cannot tell.
Okay. I want to talk about the position of the body when shot.
Okay.
You know, in the movies and on TV, they say, oh, we can tell you exactly how it happened. Are you able, based on the autopsy, able to say exactly the position that Trayvon Martin was in terms of whether he was standing up, sitting down, lying down, on top of somebody, below somebody? Are you able to say unequivocally position of the body when he was shot?
I have no fact. I have zero opinion.
Okay. Or can you say unequivocally that he was shot from the front? In other words, that the gun was in front of him when he was shot?
Yes, I do know that.
Okay. Is there any dispute about that?
No.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about how long Trayvon Martin was possibly alive. In terms of, you've already opined about that, but I want to explore that a little bit more by some questions. In terms of, thank you, Your Honor. In terms of, is death immediate? And I want to talk about whether he went unconscious or not. Do you understand?
Okay.
My question is, would he have been conscious at least for a few minutes, based on your opinion of
Okay.
the
First,
autopsy?
I need to explain to the jury how I have the opinion. Opinion is based on the fact and my lifetime learning experience.
You're talking about other autopsies you've done in your
Yes.
life? Okay.
I believe Trayvon Martin was alive for 1 to 10 minutes after he was shot.
And so you're going to give a range in terms of possibly the longest,
Yeah,
is that correct?
I give the error of a margin of error.
Okay.
The reason I give 10 minutes because just 3 weeks ago, when you
Dr.
are
Bao, let me stop you. They don't need to know about your other, but you've got some prior cases that you've dealt with.
yes,
Okay, we'll leave it at that. That's fine.
okay, because that's the
You're
opinion.
talking about your
came
opinion
from.
is based on your
Yeah.
experience.
Yes,
Okay, we just can't get into specifics, but the jury understands that. Let me ask you another question about
Okay.
that. Are you saying that his brain is still technically alive, in other words?
yes,
Okay. That's what you mean by still alive in terms of conscious, his brain is still alive?
yes.
Okay. He can still feel pain, in other words.
Yes.
Okay. And are you saying that he could move or he couldn't, in terms of, can you say one way or the other?
From my experience, another autopsy we did 3 weeks ago, I don't believe he can move
Okay,
after shot.
okay. All right. Let me go to the bullet fragments that you've talked about already, and Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Oh, sure. If that's all right with the court. Judge, she needs to change paper. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Dr. Bao, I'm showing you State's Exhibit 165. Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes.
And what is State's Exhibit 165?
Yeah, we recovered the fragments of bullet from Trevor's body, the lead core and the fragments of jacket.
So that is all in one exhibit, is that correct?
Yes, all
Okay.
together.
Your Honor, may I publish that to the jury?
Yes, you may.
Dr. Bao, I'm going back to State's Exhibit 89, and you mentioned the hands, and you mentioned an abrasion on his left hand, but I want to ask you specifically about State's Exhibit 89. When you did the autopsy and observed the hands, other than the abrasions that we're going to talk about, did you observe any blood on his hands?
No,
Did you observe any other injury to his hands? I'm going now to State's Exhibit number 97, and I'm going to ask you about what's depicted in that photograph. If you could tell us about this right here that I'm circling right here. When you said abrasion, what do you mean by that?
it's a superficial injury from blunt force trauma. This injury, in my opinion, could have happened before Trevor Martin met George Zimmerman. Could have happened during the physical.
It's not responsive to a question. This is, again, a narrative.
Overruled, but go ahead now and ask your next question.
My question is, are you able to say when this occurred? And tell us in terms of what you mean, when this occurred, when this injury could have occurred.
It could have occurred 2 hours before he died. Could have happened right after shooting on the way down to the ground. Could have happened during the physical struggle.
Okay. So it could have happened 2 hours before he even came into contact with the person who shot him. Could have happened during the shooting, and then even after he was shot, he fell to the ground?
Yes.
Okay. If you could tell us, State's Exhibit number 97, the size of this abrasion.
1/4 by 1/8.
And when we say abrasion, can you compare that to other types of injuries to the skin in terms of contusions or lacerations? Can you tell us what you mean by abrasion versus the other two?
Yeah, there are three types of blind force trauma. First, superficial injury of the skin we call abrasion. Second, laceration means there is break of the skin which causes the bleeding. Third is a contusion, means skin is still intact, but there is hemorrhage under the skin. So abrasion, laceration, contusion.
And so you're getting from less severe to more severe, is
Yes,
that correct?
yes.
And so the abrasion would be the least severe, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't have any evidence of contusion to this finger right here, or did you have any evidence of
No.
contusion? Okay, and you mentioned there was something on his, I guess, the fifth finger or the pinky of his left hand.
Yeah,
Tell us,
this-
am I circling it right there?
Yes, these two small abrasions, just too small. I have no opinion.
And would this abrasion cause bleeding? In other words, would you expect bleeding to occur from that abrasion?
The blood is still inside.
I'm sorry.
The blood still in the capillary. That's why we see this red
Okay.
stuff.
So would this be classified like a scratch to the skin?
Yes.
Dr. Bao, as part of your autopsy, did you also, I apologize, Your Honor, we don't need the light back on. Thank you. May I approach the witness again, Your Honor? Dr. Bao, as part of the autopsy, did you do what's referred to as fingernail scrapings?
Yes.
Okay. Let me show you
The
Stage
technician
Exhibit.
did. I did not do that. But
One of
I
the
was in the
persons
room.
under you?
Yes.
Okay. Stage Exhibit 191, do you recognize that, sir?
Yes.
And are
Two of
those
them.
the two, I'm going to call them as little sticks, but I don't know
Okay.
what you referred to them
Yeah.
as. Are those each used, one for the right hand and one for the left hand?
Yes.
And what is done, is the stick actually go underneath the fingernail on
Yeah.
like the right and then the left?
Every fingers.
Okay. Also, as part of the autopsy is DNA or a blood card taken from the Trayvon Martin's body. Specifically, States Exhibit 186.
Yes.
Okay. And finally, sir, let me show you States Exhibit number 98. Is this what's called an identification photograph?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, this time I believe there is a stipulation, if the court could read that to the jury.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the state of Florida, the defendant and his attorney hereby stipulate the following. The body examined on February 27, 2012 by Dr. Shipping Bio, bearing the medical examiner case number of 12-24-043, is that of Trayvon Benjamin Martin.
And Dr. Bao, I know you talked about the gunshot wound entrance was from the front and it was straight to the heart. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Keep your questions or comments to me, not to each other.
the State's Exhibit number 96, and I apologize, it should be actually 95. I guess, is this, the heart would be directly behind this gunshot wound, or where would it be if you were looking at this photograph right here, State's Exhibit number 95?
No, I cannot tell from this photo.
Okay.
We removed the skin, removed the rib. At that point, we saw the pericardial sac. We cut the pericardial sac, then you see the heart.
Okay.
So you cannot tell.
So you can't tell from this photograph itself, but it would be, in other words, the
Yeah,
gunshot.
you cannot
wound-
tell from this photo say that the bullet went through the heart. You have to open the body to see that.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Let me have a moment, Your Honor.
Yes, you may.
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you,
sir.
Cross.
Will you take a short recess?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a 10-minute recess. Please put your notepads face down on the chair and follow Deputy Jarvis back into the jury room. Just 1 minute. Okay, Dr. Bao, you're free to walk around for the 10 minutes we're in recess, but you cannot discuss your testimony with anybody. Okay. You can leave it there, it'll be fine there. All right, thank you. Court is in recess for 10 minutes.